Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the We Talk Sports podcast. As always, I'm your host, Corey, joined by co-host Gerald Mendoza. Gerald, how are you?
Uh, uh, I'm doing all right, but I can say I've definitely been in better places before.
Good to hear. So I can finally take this off because
Right?
we are in baseball country again. We can watch baseball. We've got pitchers throwing balls. We've got players getting traded. That's how we're going to start this one off before getting into
Right.
other things. Gerald, how many wins do you think your fabled Baltimore Orioles will get this season? Over or under 60?
You know what? I'm gonna say over. I'm
Wow.
gonna
All
say
right. I
over
like that.
because I think, like I was mentioning before, our farm system's doing a pretty good job of developing our guys, and we've done a good job of maintaining, I think, some pretty good key components, while also adding some good people to transition this new crop of players into their major league days, while also providing some actual competition on the field. So we're in the later stages of this rebuild, and I'm starting to like the way things are looking, the projections for the way things are going. I will have to say, extremely disappointed in Orioles ownership or management or whoever was in charge of this decision to move the left field wall back.
I have
Taking
sat
taking
tens of times in those exact seats right by the flagpole,
those are
by the
like
by the by the
some of
home
the
run pole.
those are some of the greatest seats in baseball, and they just got rid
Automatic
of them.
souvenir.
And it was strange to me because they said they moved them 30 rows back. I don't know how many feet that is, but
You got to think it's probably 3 feet a seat. No, that can't be right because they wouldn't have moved it back 90 feet. It might have been 30 feet back, I think.
well, I've got some pictures here. These are from MLB.com about the screen share about how many seats you can see that they took out. So
That's a
everything in
lot.
front, anything
Wow.
in front of these white tarp lines, that's been taken out.
Oh, that's incredible though, because now it's going to be just a tiny bit of seats there, and it's going to be elevated. I think so. We're going
It
to have
is
a
going to
little bit
be
of a
the wall's going to be higher. This is what the new
oh
dimension looks
god,
like.
this is now a doubles ballpark because anything hit out to left is now automatically a double. It's going to bounce around. What my issue is here is that small little angle at
This
the
one
left
or
side.
this one?
The left side, yeah, that one is that's going to cut up defensive players,
Well,
and
here's
even the tiny little bump that's just caught inside of the foul pole,
right.
that right there is going to be a deadly. And also, that gap or the 90-degree angle on the right side is going to make it impossible to make a throw from there if the ball rolls, especially if you're a lefty out in left field. That's
Right.
a throw you cannot make. So I think left fielders, we're only going to see right-handed Orioles left fielders for the season.
Right. This is another view from above, cutting up almost halfway through the visitor section bullpen. Looks like.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of seats that were taken
Well,
out,
but
and
what will be cool is at any time, if you're at the game, you can just walk that concourse and you can just stand there and be looking just over the drop.
right. Yeah, right here. Yeah, that'll still be pretty cool. These are I think the old dimensions. Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be interesting for Camden Yards, though. I was in Baltimore the other day, about a week ago.
Right.
Shout out Bobby Schmerda. Um, but I was in there and I just stopped by. I stopped by Utah Street, looked in, got a good picture of the area. Yeah, Gleyber Torres, those would have been home runs.
They're not going to be home runs anymore, I don't think.
Nope. And Gleyber Torres, was he part of the deal that sent the Kraken over?
I
Or who was it?
believe
Who was in that? Let me double check this really quickly.
I don't remember exactly who was in that deal, but I know it was
Because the Yankees just sent over a decent package looking to get some more assets to help them out in the long run. To get Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Keener-Falefa, which I don't think are very big pickups. They shipped off and a catcher, Ben Rortvet, from the
Right.
Twins in exchange for the Kraken, Gary Sanchez, PJ's, our co-host's most favorite player, and Gio Urshela is also dished out there.
Right.
So it seems like they're scrapping away with some of their contract packages. They're moving away from some salary in an attempt to get some younger talent.
Right.
But the league is going to be very fun. Odds on right now for World Series winners, I believe, are the Dodgers by a landslide. And then the White Sox are actually second in the power rankings by MLB.com that
Right.
came out earlier. But the odds for the Dodgers are plus 650 to win. And then at plus 900 is the Astros and the Yankees, followed by Mets, White Sox, Blue Jays, Padres, Braves. It's surprising me to see the Braves are 8th on the list now. But I think it's going to be interesting because they have two of their best players back from injury.
Well, that
And they
depends
just
on.
received Matt Olson, but they are shipping off one of their 10-year guys
Right.
over, hopefully, hypothetically, hopefully, we've got our buddy Freddie Freeman coming over to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I definitely heard that. I would like to say, checking on, I think Vegas Insider has a bit more of a conglomerate type of outlook on the betting field. And okay, so they also have the Dodgers first at I think plus 625, and everyone else almost has a consensus plus 600, plus 600, plus 600, plus 600. The next one is the Astros at 925, then the Mets, then the Yankees, then the White Sox, then the Blue Jays, then the
Yep.
Braves. So they
The
have the
order
Braves
here
in
is the same,
seventh.
except for the Braves and Padres, and the Mets and the Yankees. I like the Mets on their team. They got Lindor in. They just got him in the offseason. They
Right.
got Max Scherzer on a good deal. So now you've got potentially the best pitching battery in MLB history with a 1-2.
Right.
When you're talking about Jake DeGrom, who is, in my opinion, without argument, the best pitcher in the Major League Baseball. And then you've got Max Scherzer, who is, at this time, I would still say a top 10 pitcher in Major League Baseball.
Right.
But you've got these guys that we haven't seen since Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux and John Schmaltz when they were around. Things you haven't seen since Pedro or since Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke were on the same team. It's very akin to that. Is you've got a guy at the top of his game and a guy who's still arguably top 10.
Can you imagine if they got both of them and they still had Noah Syndergaard as well?
That would be crazy if Noah Syndergaard were healthy. I believe he's now with
Right.
the Angels of Anaheim.
He signed a 1 year deal.
Yep, and it's really his test because Syndergaard was that dude back in 2016, 2017,
Right.
around those years, 2015 even. He was that guy. He was fearful on the mound, but he kind of burnt out a little bit. But what I'm really excited for is I think that this is a make it or break it year for a lot of these guys who got a lot of these young guys. Bryce Harper is tried and true. We already know he's an MVP guy. As a matter of fact, he just took home the hardware this last year. Bryce Harper
Right.
cashed out on a paycheck, and he's getting paid, and he's been worth it for the Phillies. It's going to be interesting to see if they can do anything. We know Mookie Betts is a tried and true guy. He led the Dodgers to a World Series in his first year. We've got other guys like Mike Trout, who we know is a tried and true MVP. He's the best guy in the MLB. And it's not close. The only guy close is another guy who it's almost time to ink out a big contract, and that's his teammate Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
It seems like Tatis's proof is going to have to take a little back seat with news coming out today that he suffered a fractured wrist, I believe it was, and will have to miss around 3 months just to start out the season. So that's bad news for the Padres organization.
Bad news for the Padres organization, but like I was mentioning earlier, I think it warrants being mentioned. This seems like something that, at least the severity of his injury, could have been potentially avoided because they say from reports that this injury stemmed from repeated accidents on a motorcycle. Now, you were mentioning something about how sometimes the team will try to protect their assets and not let them do anything that would be dangerous to the contract. And how big is Tatis's contract? It's in the hundreds of millions.
I believe Fernando Tatis is on a $300 million contract.
So on a 300 million,
let me double check the detail really quickly.
Right.
Fernando Tatis is on a 14-year, $340 million contract.
Right, but the point I was trying to make is a 9-digit contract. A 9-digit contract,
Yep.
a 9-digit investment, and any player would have some restrictions, I would think. And not only that, even with, say something happens once, oh, I just tried it and it happened once. You should learn your
Well,
lesson and maybe not put your career and contract in jeopardy
I
by
agree.
doing it again and falling off again. Who knows how many times it happened.
Well, with a guy who I compared it to in the pre-show with you, Gerald, is a guy that I compared it to is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick
Right.
Mahomes is only, and I say only very broadly, but he was guaranteed a $141 million contract over 12 years with a
Right.
$63 million signing bonus. So $200 million contract, but Patrick Mahomes is not allowed to pick up a basketball, pick up a baseball bat, pick up a glove, pick up a baseball. He's not allowed to play any sport that isn't football. And even then, he can only pick up a football and play football if it is something that the Chiefs are doing. He can't play
Right.
catch with his brother. I don't know if his brother wants to play catch, but he can't
Nah,
play
he's gonna
catch
be
with the
he's gonna be
neighbor.
dancing in L.A. soon
Yep.
enough.
He can't do any of this stuff. And I think, that's a fair thing to ask of the guy who is the face of your franchise. You're
Right.
paying a guy $340 million to get in repeated motorcycle accidents. That is part of the problem that I said, and you can go back and find it if anybody is so inclined. I think that this is what might be one of the worst contracts given out. Because, yes, you're getting him for 12 years, but or 14 years or whatever it is. You're getting him for that long, but who's to say in year 6 he doesn't flame out? Who's to say in year 2 he doesn't flame out? He gets an
Well, here's
injury
the
a bad injury to his shoulder or a bad injury to his knee or ankle. That's it. I'm not saying he's done his career, but you will not see
right.
the same production out of him. You're going to see the Bo Jackson effect.
No, exactly, and something I want to add on to that is something I've kept in the back of my head. I am not necessarily a fan of doing these. I call them super contracts,
Yep. Super maxes.
because
Yeah.
the supermax contracts they are. I mean, in the NBA, that's not even a preferable thing for someone with the star power of LeBron James or Kevin Durant. They always keep their options open, and that might be for their own personal interest, which is fine because I think they've warranted themselves a bit more say in how their future goes instead of just leaving it up to whatever team they're in. And for the most part, that's worked well for both of them.
I think what
But
really comes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, I'm almost done. But I mean, the first one that I remember really catching my attention was the Stanton contract in Miami.
Yes. Yep.
And we saw how that went. And then I don't know who was the next MLB player to get it. Bryce Harper right now.
Bryce Harper just got his last year with the
I
wave of everybody getting up. Mookie Betts got one, I think, last year
Mookie,
also.
I think Mookie Betts and Mike Trout are the only two people who are really, in my eyes,
Yep.
and
They
I might
deserved
be
it
just
100%.
that they earned themselves the supermaxes. Where like we're going all in on this guy because he's amazing, and we're gonna keep it, and we're gonna keep him here because we want him to be the literal most famous player our franchise has ever done. Maybe not for the Dodgers; you guys have a lot of history, but for the Angels of Anaheim, Mike Trout is the Angels. He
Yep.
is the franchise. He is the guy. So give him his money because he is the only reason that you guys are still drawing and getting people to talk about the Angels. He's how many MVPs has he won?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. He's probably got another maybe 1 or 2 in him as well.
I would even say that you're underselling him.
Right.
So I want to read a stat just really quickly, Trout, right
Yeah.
after you say what you were finishing up on your idea of.
Yeah. So I don't think unless there's a generational talent like that, I don't think a supermax is ever a wise decision for anybody, no matter how much money you have, whether the Yankees or the Marlins or the Padres or the Astros or whoever. Supermaxes just aren't worth the money because they're so difficult to work with. There's too many variables, and the chances are way too slim that you're going to get your actual return on investment.
Yeah, and I agree. With a lot of players, I think the only guy who walks that fine line of the big contracts and is doing it with this is a pretty much guaranteed payoff would be Bryce Harper. I think
Right.
with Mookie Betts and Mike Trout, it's shown Mike Trout is the best player in baseball. There's no doubt about it. The only guy, again, who I said comes close, well, the other two guys that come close also play in LA. And it's with Otani, but he's also only a season in, so we don't have a fair judge, and Mookie Betts, who is very much up there. I want to read something about Mike Trout for you really quickly. And since Mike Trout started baseball in 2012, or sorry, when he started getting his MVP votes, the sophomore year, here's how he has ranked in MVP rank, right? Like the first place vote, second place. Here's how it's been. Mm-hmm. Second place, first place, second place, first place, fourth place, second place, first place, fifth place. He's won 3 MVPs, and he has never, aside from last year, finished outside of the top 5 in MVP voting in his career. He has the 5th highest career MVP shares of all time. And Michael Nelson Trout is the young age of just 30 years old. He'll win another 1. He might win another 2. The Millville Meteor is not finished. If you look at his black ink and his gray ink on his baseball reference page, which I think should be everybody's home site for starting up a browser, he's 30 and he's got 3 MVPs, 9 All-Stars, 2 All-Star MVPs, Major League Player of the Year, 8 Silver Sluggers, Rookie of the Year, Wilson Overall Defensive Player of the Year. He's got everything, and that's only the big stuff. On his career, he's batting .305 and he's slugging .583. Last year, he had a phenomenal season, but he didn't play very long. So when you look at it, Mike Trout is signed on the biggest contract, I believe, in sports history, and on a 12-year, $426.5 million contract. Signed from 2019 to 2030, which is ridiculous. So, Mike Trout is that dude. With all the other guys, talking about Fernando Tatis getting a deal, Manny Machado's deal. Manny Machado's deal, I think, is just a bad deal. I think you're giving too much to a guy who gets hurt and hasn't shown peak production since we're 3 years removed from him being a good guy on the Orioles. Giving these young guys contracts, in my opinion, is harmful for the sport of baseball as it comes to, okay, every player's got to get money. But if you're giving one guy that much money every year, your team's going to suffer because of it. The Angels are going to take a hit because they're already giving Anthony Rendon that money, which hasn't paid off. They're giving Mike Trout that money, and I'll say it's paid off, but he was hurt last year. Putting all your eggs in one basket, especially in baseball, is always a bad idea. You see the most successful teams of all time have been run through committee.
Right.
And when it comes down to that, yeah, there's big names, but they weren't signed to these fantastical contracts. When you look around at my favorite example of this would be, the Moneyball Athletics. And Billy Beane running that team wasn't going for guys to pay off a certain amount because they were in a smaller market. Today, you're going to dictate one guy who gets 11% of all at-bats on your team. 11%. And you're going to pay him a third of all the money that your team can spend on players, given your own, expense and revenue tables for your team. I think it's unwise. I think it's better to build it around a bunch of good players and a couple great players instead of building it around 2 or 3 fantastic players and a bunch of bench warmers.
Right.
So moving on, unless there's more baseball. Oh, baseball note that we forgot. So the MLB PA and the Major League Baseball's owners have come to an agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement. And in this, they will be putting in, as the headlines, is larger bases. They'll be putting in a universal designated hitter, removing the runner at second in extra innings, and introducing a pitch clock, as well as banning the shift. We've already seen that the DH is going to be very, very good for the sport. I used to be a hater of it, but now it does speed it up a little bit more.
Right.
So I can't hate too much. It's always fun to see a pitcher dinger a la Bartolo Colon, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that happens often enough to justify a free out every 9 innings or every 3 innings. With that, though, we have already seen somebody get success in it. Nelson Cruz is on a 1-year contract to head to the Nationals. He will, I believe, serve as their DH, which is very, very fun to see. I think Albert
Yeah.
Pujols might be near a deal with somebody for a 1 year, and I think it would be foolish for a team not to pick him up because he is just amount of home runs away from 700.
Right.
Gerald, what are your thoughts on the CBA?
Like I said, the CBA. Oh, first of all, lockout lasted 99 days. I was definitely worried we were going to take an exceptionally huge chunk out of the season, possibly missing half of it. Almost like what happened with the COVID shortened year season. But thankfully, that was avoided. Apparently, the players and the owners and the league have committed to a full 162 game season, including making up for lost time by adding extra double headers, which are full 9 inning double
Yeah.
headers. Full 9 inning double headers, the way it should be. And like you said, some of the other.
Baseball is never 7 innings. Don't play 7 inning doubleheaders.
Yeah. Only in the College World Series. Only in the
Correct.
College World Series. But in any case, some of these new rules, like you said, are questionable to me. Bigger bases, fine. I don't want first baseman's ankles getting trampled by people
Yep.
like Manny Machado anyway.
Player safety is good. I'm
Player
all for
safety
player
is
safety.
always good. Yes, player safety is great. It's like what the decision they made with the Nets when they extended all the nets
Yep.
in the MLB a few years ago. That was a pretty good idea.
I
And
initially did not like it because it reduces your souvenirs. But you've got people in the stands that aren't like us,
right,
like aren't paying attention to every single at bat. You got casual fans, and if they're not paying attention, a 100-mile-an-hour off the bat fastball is going
it's
to
going
end
to do
up
some
pretty bad
damage.
for your cranium. Yep.
Or a bat that goes flying in the
Or a
back.
bat. That's what I'm more worried about a ball than a bat because a bat's not going to go 100 miles an hour.
Right, yeah. But in any case, so player safety and fan safety and overall safety changes are usually the best for the sport and for the spectator in general. So that's good. Universal DH, again, I'm interested to see exactly how this speeds up the game, but also what that's going to do now that interleague play is now such an integral part. Because it used to be you only played interleague play 1 or 2 weekends out of the year. Now it's an integrated part of the game. So let's put some common
You used
a
to
little
not
more.
play it.
Right, they used to just
You used to not play it. The only time you
oh,
face an American League team in the National League is in the series.
exactly. And so interested to see how the National League is going to adapt to this because
I
it's the
think they're
National
gonna
League that
get
has to
better.
adapt.
I think
They're-
they're going to get better.
Because if people are like, oh, well, the American League's already been doing this, it might have the advantage. No, I think the National League's going to have the advantage by combining the best of both the small ball spectrum of play that they have, as well as this DH that they can use instead of, and it might actually help their pitching. Because I think National League has better pitchers as well. Just in general, as far as I can tell, that might just be a personal observation or personal opinion. But now that their pitchers can get to rest more instead of focusing on just even stepping up to the plate, have them focus on just solely on pitching the game, it could help out their stats and help them play a better game. And maybe if they're rested enough, it can help them last longer games. They might be going back to full 7 innings, 8 innings, possibly a full game if you're on fire of baseball. Your points about the shift, I agree with. That it's kind of a sticky issue sometimes, a slippery slope that can go either way. Yes, our knee-jerk reaction, mine as well, would be, if you want to beat the shift, just hit the other way. But some players just aren't built that way.
Yep.
Some players just never hit the other way. They have to hit the near side, and sometimes the shift does. It almost makes it a little too predictable sometimes, and might get in the way of some different strategies that can be used in lineups and everything like that. But also, if you ban the shift, one of the positives that I think you can see is definitely just a little more possibility for everyone, all these players, to get a little more action in on their game, possibly do a little better on their stat sheets, do a little more to help the team in terms of different kind of style of play instead of just laying down a bunt. And I think that'll make the game possibly more exciting. Hopefully, it's a lot more small ball instead of just the long ball. But that's just my opinion on it. And then what's that last thing? I feel like I missed one thing, but I'm not sure.
No, you got them pretty much. The DH, the bigger bags,
Yeah,
the pitch
the
clock,
shift.
the
Oh, the
shift,
pitch clock.
the pitch
I
clock.
don't know how we. I don't know how I feel about the pitch clock, but I'm interested to see what time frame they agree on.
I think it was 19 seconds, if I remember correctly. But
19 seconds from when? From when the catcher gets the
from
ball, or
from
when
when
the ball gets?
from when the ball gets to the pitcher.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So
So I
be interested
I
to see.
agree. I agree with all your sentiments on it. I think that the bigger bags are good for player safety, and as I said, player safety is number one. I think that the designated hitter is good for everybody except for my initial thoughts, and that you talked about this, you covered this is, but we love seeing pitchers hit. We love seeing Bartolo Colon. So we're over that, but it creates additional jobs in the MLB for older players. It lets them get contracts to get more money, which the PA wants. It gets more fans because of home run balls and big hitters. I don't love banning the shift because it removes a big strategy from baseball, but I don't necessarily hate it because it does do a lot to change the three true outcome game that the show has turned into. Of you either strike out, you pop out, or you hit a home run. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes out. I'm a fan of the pitch clock reducing it. Uh, we'll have to see how this year shapes out for it. But I want to list something because talking about the DH. So uh, the designated hitter was introduced in 1973 uh, in the American League, but it didn't find immediate huge success there. That was when Bobby Bonds was still in the league. So fast forward to 1988, and since 1988, the National League has only beaten the American League in the All-Star game 6 times. They've only beaten them 6 times since 1988.
Hmm.
And I think that it'll be interesting to see how the All Star game shakes out. And allegedly, I'm not sure if I got trolled on Twitter by a fake account, but the All Star game may be moving to, instead of extra innings, they do a home run derby for the end of it.
Yes, I heard that.
Yep. I don't know if it were a ball sack sports troll or if this is something to actually pay attention to. But you imagine if they had the DH in both leagues out back in 2008, 2010, we'd still have this guy playing in the
Right.
MLB. Well, I guess you guys
Yeah.
can't see him because it's too bright, but in case you're missing it, I have a compilation of 200 Barry Bonds home runs on the screen behind me because every single home run deserves to be seen. So, moving on a little bit from baseball, let's take a short pit stop and talk about the National Basketball Association. Gerald, what the hell is happening with LeBron James and his Lakers?
This is a tale of two stories. Because LeBron is still producing. He is still
There's a dinger.
there's a
It's in the
dinger.
bay. It's in the bay.
It's in the cove.
Yep.
What was I saying? But LeBron is still producing for his team. He's still producing, and I think someone else pointed this out. I forgot what internet person on TikTok or Instagram that I saw say this, but I'll mention it in a second. LeBron is producing, but no one else is. Anthony Davis can't get off the bench because he's constantly getting hurt. Russell Westbrook was not a good fit from the beginning, and it's
That one's in the
proving
bay.
it. That one's also in the bay,
Barry Bonds,
definitely
baby.
so.
Barry Bonds.
And
I'm getting distracted by my background.
I can tell. No, but
Yeah,
so the Lakers as a
you see where that one's going to? That
the
one's
Lake
Cove.
the Lakers as a team right now are not functioning. LeBron James is as good as ever. He is continuing his dominance of the sport. That is undeniable. He's still the number one player in the world right now, I believe. But I mean, I've said it before. LeBron is good at making a team better if he's on the court.
Yep.
And if he's not on the court, whatever team he's on usually does not fare well. I mean, the Heat, maybe when he was still there, could still manage without him. But Cleveland, when he was still in Cleveland the second time, and he was sitting out a game, they always lost because they built the team to cater to his needs as a player on the court instead of building a team that he could fit into. Um, and so that's the same exact thing that happened with the Lakers, except they thought the extra star power would mitigate that, but there's a lot of lack of chemistry between Russ and the rest of his team. And also, if LeBron's not there and Russ isn't meshing with the team and AD isn't there, I mean, who else do you have? Everyone was saying
Carmelo
this was
Anthony has
supposed.
been playing pretty well.
I'm sorry,
I said Carmelo Anthony has been playing pretty well, but that's
but
tough because he's not a, you know,
right, but he's
enormous
not.
contributor.
Carmelo Anthony is a great number two in any team except for the current Lakers
Yeah.
because he is great as a number two because he can help bolster and have a team work with him. But when there's other star power around him, he does tend to fade in the back and become more of a facilitator, who then gets lost in the mix. I think, in general during games, that then doesn't end up leading to a lot of success. Um, so like honestly, I think personally, Carmelo Anthony would be in a better position right now in the West if he would have stayed in Portland. Russ would have been in a better position if he would have stayed in DC, and the Lakers would have been in a better
Oh,
position if they just would have stuck with AD and LeBron and built a better team around them instead of just picking up another superstar. Do they have a salary cap in NBA?
absolutely.
Uh, well, well now and now like these are superstars who deserve to be paid a certain amount, I think. But now it's getting in the way of them being able to build an actual team around them.
Yep.
And I think that's what's happening with the Lakers. Because if we look at the better teams, who are the best teams in the league right now? In the East and
Well,
the
you've got
West, like
so in the West, you've got Phoenix, you've got Golden State, who are playing incredibly out of their minds, really well. Not to be forgotten over there in the West, though, is
oh
also
yeah,
Memphis is really, really doing well under John Morant, and they're playing that sort of grit and grind type game of having one really, really great player, and then their team just meshes alongside. And that's your top three out there. And in the East, I think it's Miami snuck back in up front, and then you've got Milwaukee and Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, I think, will only go up with the addition of James Harden because you're taking a guy like Ben Simmons, who is, I think, still very, very good,
right,
but you were getting no minutes out of him. It's better to get a guy like James Harden who can give you 25 and 10 a night than to get somebody who's going to give you nothing, nothing, and nothing. Behind that,
yeah,
though, it's actually a three-way tie. Not a three-way tie, but three-way in wins in the East between Philly, Chicago, and Boston, all locked at 41 wins, which is great. I mean, we see good teams. Boston looks incredible. Chicago looks great with DeMar DeRozan,
What
DMVP.
about what about the Bucks?
The Bucks are second at 42 wins.
Okay, well, I
Yep.
think actually the Bucks, at least the standings that I'm looking at right now, they're saying they're in third because their percentage is a little less than
No, the
that of the
percentage is
76ers.
6-8. There's a 6-18 because I think Philly just might have lost.
Well, oh,
Yeah,
right now
Philly
probably
just lost to the Nuggets. In the West, for the top six like seeded teams, we've got Phoenix, who's already clinched a spot.
right,
They're the only team in the NBA who's clinched a spot. Memphis, Golden State, then Utah, Dallas, and Denver. All of these teams, except for Utah, are being shoehorned by well, actually, even Utah. All these teams are being shoehorned by a very good player on the offensive side of the ball, and then very good supporters. Phoenix, you've got Devin Booker.
right,
Memphis, you've got John Morant. Golden State, Steph Curry. Utah, you got Donovan. You got Donovan. You know, you
right.
look at Dallas, you got Luca. Denver is the only one. Actually, I believe Denver is the only team in the West which has a center as the starting, like their guy to run the ball through.
Well,
Lakers are
Denver
currently the
has.
nine seed.
I mean, well,
They have
Denver has
Nikola Jokic
Jokic.
basically as a
Yeah,
point guard, but seven
yeah,
feet
yeah,
tall. In the
yeah.
East, with all the six, it's Miami who runs their game through committee. Jimmy Butler's a guy out there, but it's not just him scoring buckets. Milwaukee
Right.
has Chris Middleton and, more importantly, Giannis, the big man doing the work. Philly
Yep.
has Joel Embiid. Now they have James Harden, and they had their boy Tyrese Maxey out there dropping a whole lot of points every once in a while. Chicago's running through DeMar DeRozan. They've got Caruso. They've got Vucevic. They've got a great team assembled there without too much supermax contract going. Boston has an
Right.
incredible looking team on paper with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and their Time Lord, one of my favorite centers, Robert Williams. His nickname was Time Lord because he was late to a meeting one time when he was a rookie.
Hmm.
And then in
Nice.
the sixth seed, Cleveland.
Oh
Who
wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. We got to go back to
everybody.
the Boston Celtics just for a quick second because you need to point out they have a power forward on their team as well who
No, we know
deserves
they
to be
don't.
mentioned.
No, they don't.
Deserves to
No, they
be
don't.
mentioned. An
No.
NBA caliber player, Al
NBA
Horford.
caliber is giving it. Oh, also, speaking of Al Horford, Gerald, there's no better time than now to buy your favorite Orlando Magic jersey, even though he's not playing for Orlando anymore, because Gerald's favorite NBA player, Bismack Biyombo, is
Bismack
donating
Biyombo.
his entire salary this season to build a hospital in the birthplace of Congo to honor his father who passed away. So his
A,
entire check, everything from the season, donating it to build this hospital.
a
Absolutely
worthy
phenomenal.
cause that I am definitely going to be contributing in multiple manners, but also I will be buying a Bismack Biyombo Orange Fever Orlando Magic custom made
Also,
jersey.
he does play for the Phoenix Suns right now, and I know when we did our New Jersey reviews, you really liked the Phoenix ones, the ones that said the Valley.
I did. I thought they were
So you could get
stylish.
a
I thought they
number
were very
18
good.
Bismack Biyombo, or you
I
could
might
get
just
the
have to.
the orange Orlando Magic ones.
I already have the orange Orlando Magic hat.
You got the hat somewhere. Yeah.
Give me a second. Give me a second. Like 5 seconds.
It's great. But in other basketball news, Russell Westbrook
Here it is.
since the break, I believe, Russell Westbrook is shooting 9% from three. This many
Yeah.
percent from three.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you can count on one hand how much you shoot from anywhere in basketball, you are not a person who should be playing basketball.
Oh, I have some
If
personal.
I go to the park, if I go to the park and try to shoot threes, I could probably shoot like 20.
Right.
And that's with nobody on me. If with somebody on me, I might shoot 13%, 15%. But hey, unless you were around Chernobyl when it went off, you can only count to 10 with your hands. So if you can shoot
Right.
10% or less, then you shouldn't be playing in the league. Or you shouldn't be taking threes.
I do have some personal.
Oh, and then also Russell
Info.
Westbrook coming out and saying, I don't like people calling me Westbrick. It's offensive to me and my family. Meanwhile, the same guy who kept calling Kevin Durant a cupcake and a snake and kept going at him. So it's not, as LeBron said 2 years ago in a tweet, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. How about that, Russell Westbrook? I will absolutely stand for Russell Westbrook slander on his playing ability. I don't ever stand for slander of a person as a man or as a person,
Right.
as like it, as long as it's not characteristic. Like Karl Malone, go away. Yeah, slander him all you want. Do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah.
All guns blazing. But you want to just slander a guy because you don't like how he plays? I don't like that if you're going to come at him as a person. But if you're coming at him as a bucket getter, he's not a bucket getter. So make fun of him. He sucks.
Right.
He's booty. He's butt cheeks. He's bad.
He's
bad
not even
at basketball right now.
He's not even good at
He is-
squaring up in a basketball fight. Remember
bad-
that?
Yeah, he is bad at basketball right now. Make fun of him. If you don't want people to make fun of you, do better. That's
Yeah,
what-
and he's also
You're
getting paid.
You're getting paid a supermax contract, and then you're saying, "I don't like people yelling Westbrook at me or Westbrick at me." Dude, get out of here. Leave. Just don't play then. Don't play.
Right.
It hurts it's bad against my family. Well, that's too bad. I bet they're crying themselves to sleep in a giga mansion.
Right.
Sorry, brother. I got nothing for you.
I do want to take a moment to mention that this was my second year being an assistant coach for our academy basketball team.
Did you guys get a win this year?
We actually got three wins this year. So there's improvement. We got 3 wins this year. We had 3 also separate JV games as well. 3 separate JV games. We won all 3 of our JV games by at least 15 points on all of them.
Gerald running the triangle out here. He's just a regular church Phil Jackson.
If that's what we want to call it. I think PJ, the first time I told him I was going to become a coach, he said the Protestant Jimmy V.
Give him the holy crossover.
The holy crossover, yeah.
Talking about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Cross up.
Oh man!
We running the triangle. We running the 4.
No, but so we actually had a tournament, a play-in tournament, a double elimination play-in tournament that we did at the end of our season.
Naturally lost both.
We lost the first one by like about, I think it was 48 to 36. 48.
I thought you were gonna say you lost by 40.
No. We've never lost that. We only lost that bad when we played Perry Hall Christian, not the Perry Hall, just another Perry Hall. Yeah. That I don't know why our coach scheduled that game. I'm just like, please don't ever do that to us again. But our first game was against someone we had played 3 times previous in the season. We had lost to 3 times previous in the season. So that's a lot of fun. They're a team based out of Salisbury. So they came up for the tournament here. I'm sorry?
The Sauls Ballers.
Yeah. That should be what we call them. But anyway, so we lost to them, so we had to play the next day for our consolation bracket spot. And we played against our nearest rival, which is about 25 minutes away. It's another academy, church academy in Clinton called Independent. And we were winning the second half by about, or actually, no, we were winning in the first half by about 3 points at the half. So it was a pretty close and even keel game. And then in the third quarter, we were down like 48 to 32. But in the fourth quarter, a couple of our guys just started picking themselves up and doing everything they could to score, and they started drawing fouls. And we ended up with 48 seconds left. One of my guys in the middle, number 10, goes up for a layup, gets knocked down by the hip. They call the foul. The shot goes in, and it's 52 to 50 with 48 seconds left. So we came back, but then I don't know why we couldn't just make another shot for the next 40 seconds, but we ended up losing 56 to 50. But an L is an L, but I was happy with the way they played. Here's my dilemma now. I'm losing 4 starters this year.
Hold on. I will shave my beard. I will cut my hair.
Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that because
I'll wear
apparently
cargo shorts and a church t-shirt and a polo and pretend like I care about church. It's time for Corey Dimes to come out. Corey crossover.
Something like that. They actually wanted to they want to start a league with the teams that were in this tournament plus a couple others, because there's like 7 teams in our tournament, and they want to add like 3 more.
If you get Gerald the Juice, PJ post up, and Corey crossover on the court, it's over. I'm telling you, I'm the only person on your team who can palm a ball with one hand and hold it out like Michael Jordan. I do that. My hook is deadly, bro. It's deadly. It's dastardly.
Actually, I was going to propose, because they're starting this new league, I was thinking I'm going to get involved. I want to get involved in the league offices, if they have them, and the organization, because I like setting things up like that. I like running tournaments. I like doing the stuff like that. And something I noticed that every single school just about lacks, with the exception of one, is a dedicated broadcast format. Because it's so easy to broadcast a game.
We got it. Let me
So
do
I'm
play by
thinking
play. Let me do play by play. PJ can take color commentary. We'll keep it PG.
I would I would be more than happy to say, hey, I got a couple guys that are going to be doing this, helping me out on the, or I can be the announcement host because I think I'm still going to be assistant coach next year.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Get us in on that. Get us in on that. Seriously. Because imagine that if I did play by play and PJ was color commentating, going, and it's all right, number 10 crossing over. Oh, and with deep for the bucket. And then PJ's like, damn, that guy really got some sauce. Or he would say dang, because I guess you can't say damn in a church.
you probably just have to convert over. I'm be like, pretend you're on your way to getting confirmed in the church again, PJ.
Yeah,
Then you'll be good
pretend
to
you're
go.
still Catholic.
Pretend you're still. Nah, but I'm gonna see
Get
if
us in.
that's
Get
some.
us in.
I'm gonna see if that's something because I want you guys to at least be involved in some aspect of this game.
And I could get us a sponsorship too. We'll be sponsored by G Fuel.
G Fuel.
Yep. We can get
you can make some stupid excuse like the G stands for Jesus.
Yeah. The G stands for God. Why did you reach for that so far, bro? You reached beyond far. The G stands for Jesus. You're missing number 1. So
And that's
enough on that. Enough on
that's
that.
why you run. That's why you run commentary.
That's why I'm the commentary guy.
Oh, I would be.
Talking
You know what I would do? I would do. I would be the courtside interviewer.
Yeah, you can be the David Aldridge.
There you go.
What we've got here, though, is we're going to move on from basketball and Gerald's terrible Christian basketball team, who is just dog water.
Absolutely.
We're going to move over to the National Football League for a tiny bit. Right. So we're officially in the offseason. We've been in there since the Super Bowl when the Rams took a good win out of Joey Bucket's hands. And you know, it was one of the most entertaining Super Bowls I've ever seen in my life. With the halftime show and everything, it was entertaining. But now we're in the off season. So the thing that brings my good friend Gerald and I together is he's a Washington Commanders fan now. You got a new football team, Commanders, and you know what? Along with the new branding, you've got a new quarterback, and along with a new quarterback, I don't have one. So very best of luck to you with Carson Wentz. Go ahead. Shake my hand out there, buddy. Give me a good handshake right there. Oh, you ain't. Yep.
There you go.
But you guys got a new quarterback. Didn't win on the Mitch Trubisky lottery. He's a Steeler now.
They offered almost the identical deal to Russell Wilson that he got from Denver, and he turned it down. Which I understand. The difference is Dan Snyder.
Between you guys getting Carson or getting Mitch Trubisky and Carson Wentz is you guys have got $25 million or whatever it is of payroll now for one more year. The Colts now have $70 million in available cap space, and we have done nothing with it. I am excited for this team this year to go like 8-9 or something.
Right.
Or I think we tank, but waste one good year out of Darius Leonard, Jonathan Taylor, and Quentin Nelson's. You know, is it still
going to be run the damn ball this year?
It's absolutely 100%. Okay. We're not changing that. We have the second best and arguably best running back in the NFL. We're not going to change that mentality. But if you guys play Wentz enough, we get a second round pick instead of a third. So I'm excited. We get another round, so we have two
watch
seconds.
Him the game before that condition is hit.
Yep, ACL.
ACL on the 35-yard line.
Yeah.
ACL on the 35-yard line.
I can see it.
Same exact injury as Alex Smith and Joe Theismann. Same exact injury.
Yep. Play against the same team, even same score. Put it all in.
Yeah, just absolutely.
What I think is the biggest hit of all is Touchdown Tom is back. As my favorite sports writer says all the time, John Boyce, he says, never count out Touchdown Tom. and you can really never count out touchdown Tom. Gerald, with your thinking going into this, what did you think that next year's Super Bowl playoffs were going to be? Like, who do you see in the Super Bowl going into this? And I know it's way far out.
I would definitely say I saw
For the next Super Bowl before Tom Brady came back.
before Tom Brady came back, I definitely saw the Bengals making another run for it and potentially them being in there, or the Bills finally getting it over on Mahomes and the Chiefs and getting their win, which I want to see because I'm starting to really like the Bills.
You can't not like them.
You can't not like them. Their fan base is amazing. They have passion and guts, and they're not bothered by the cold. It's something. There's something to love about that team, and it's definitely endearing to watch them play, and it's great to see them win. And I think so. I'm thinking on the AFC side. Let me do this. I'm gonna pick my AFC Championship game then. I'm gonna say Joey Burrow makes it back. He stays consistent this year again, makes it back to the AFC Championship game, but he does end up losing to Josh Allen and the Bills, as well as potentially, as my friend always, one of my friends from one of the other churches that I know from New York, he is the biggest Nathan Peterman fan I have ever seen in my life, and just always just Nathan Peterman all the way. I'm just like, at least pick a starter. But fine. I mean, props to loyalty for him. And then on the NFC side, I saw Rodgers coming back and making magic happen again and getting to the NFC Championship game. And his opponent before Tom Brady came back, I might have said, well, see, here's the thing. Ask me this question a week ago, I said the Cowboys would have had a chance to go. But then didn't they just trade away Amari Cooper?
Yep. Traded him to the Browns.
Yeah. I don't know. Something about that just didn't sit right. Just did not sit. I feel like that's someone you got to keep, especially with as much production you were getting out of him last season with Dak. But see, here's the thing. Amari Cooper is a lot more consistent than Dak. And I know you need Dak to have Amari Cooper be successful, but something tells me it's going to be one of those other potential off years for Dak, where he's not necessarily 100%. He's not doing his best work. I feel like that was last season, and then he ended up messing up that last play of the game by handing the ball to a center instead of the ref. But I don't know.
In my mind, before Tom Brady came back, the AFC is pretty open and shut. It's either going to be Kansas City or it's going to be Buffalo. And I would rather Buffalo 100% because, I got family there. It's always been a lifelong thing. If I like Buffalo, I think Indy's not in the spot, so I wouldn't even count them in. This time, or mid-season last year, I would say, or late season, I'd say Indy might be the team. Now, I have no thought that they're going to be a competitor. On the NFC side, I like the NFC West teams, just all of them, except for, all of them, seriously, every single one. They all look competitive. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers look good, but Aaron Rodgers notoriously chokes in the NFC Championship. And I think Dallas, Dallas doesn't have the metal to take it through. So I'd say NFC West is the easy go-to. Post Tom Brady coming back, I see the same Super Bowl that I predicted last year, and that is Bills-Bucks. I see that 100%. A rematch of 2020 Super Bowl. Or 2020, 2021. That season, the 2021 Super Bowl with the Bucks versus the Chiefs.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. I really do. You know what I think the thing is with Aaron Rodgers? I think he has to play away from home.
Yeah.
I think he has to get in a position where he's not going to be the favorite, where he doesn't have home field advantage. And
we saw it against Dallas that one year when he went insane in the last 13 seconds.
And the year that he actually went to the Super Bowl, he ended up winning. He won that championship in Chicago.
Yep.
So I think a change of scenery would help him. But right now, actually, did you hear that? One of his wide receivers right now?
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, he said he's going to sit out because he doesn't want to play on the franchise tags unless they get a long-term contract negotiated. Now, if the Green Bay front office has shown us anything, it seems that long-term contracts don't seem to be their forte and end up causing havoc throughout the season. So I'm interested to see where this goes. If he's actually going to sit out the season, or if they actually decide, oh, we'll actually pay him his money. He's going to get because we want to win. So I'm not sure how that situation pans out.
I
But
agree.
also, this is completely unrelated, but in Commanders news, we just dropped Landon Collins.
Unfortunate. Big loss for the team on
Yeah,
defense.
that's a huge loss on defense. And also, today we traded away Brandon Scherf to the Jaguars.
Wow. Would you guys get in
Yeah,
return some draft compensation?
I think compensation is what we got back. So I'm thinking that was an even bigger mistake than possibly a bigger mistake than Landon Collins, because right now, no matter what the quarterback situation is going to be at the end all be all beginning of the season for the Commanders, protecting the quarterback is something that needs to be a priority, no matter
Yes.
who the
For every
quarterback
team.
is. If it's for every team, but especially in this one where we have less mobile quarterbacks, where Carson Wentz is not a scrambler, Taylor Heineke, if he ends up playing,
Not a movement guy.
he's not a movement guy. They're gunslingers who need a little extra time to get their guns going. It's almost like Taylor Heineke is a weird mix between Jay Cutler and Brett Favre.
Ha!
Like, does that make sense to you?
You're looking for Rex Grossman. Sexy Rexy. Hit him right
Sex,
between the eyes. See
sex,
that kid in the
Rex.
wheelchair in the upper stands? Boom. Right between the eyes.
Right between the eyes. Uh, but like I said, I like Heineke. Um,
Taylor
do I think
Heineke.
he's a starter?
No.
Honestly, I didn't think he was a starter last year. He played well in the starter position because there was no other option, and he did well enough for a little while at least. But he's not a starter. He's an excellent backup though, so he's worth keeping on the bench. But man, I feel like there had to have been a better option than Carson Wentz. And here's the thing: if they would have waited 24 hours before they made a decision on Carson Wentz, I feel like the Deshaun Watson situation would have opened the window for them to go for Deshaun Watson,
Well, I mean,
because I feel like
they could still trade him over with
right,
draft considerations too.
exactly, and with Deshaun Watson, I feel like him with Landon Collins, Terry McLaurin, scary Terry down the field with someone like Deshaun Watson. That's a good. And if you develop the running game with Antonio Gibson as well,
Yep.
that could be a
Got a good
pretty
team.
scary offense. That could be a solid team. I'm not going to say they're
I agree.
superstars, of course not, but that could have been a really solid team that could have scared some defenses and confused them.
Yep. I agree. Well, it's coming around to the wrap up, so
Right.
we're going to touch on any last notes. This is our little rundown here. Uh, my heart goes out to the family of Scott Hall, WWE Hall of Famer known as Razor Ramon,
Right.
passed away today at 63 years old after being taken off life support. One of the best heroes in WWE, one of the best heels turned just fun to watch. And his best quote lives on still with me of the bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Is, just a lot of memories with him at WrestleMania. You got Razor Ramon out there in the tag teams. Seriously, it's a big loss for the wrestling community. So that's going to be a
Right.
tough one. There have been a lot of big trades around the NFL for all up to date things in NFL. You can feel free to check out Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport on Twitter. They will be your
Mhm.
first sources for everything NFL. In MLB, you can check out Rob Nightingale is an incredible source, and everything will pop up around like ESPN or MLB.com, Twitter feeds. Those are your first databases. And In the NBA, we got things starting to boil down as we are not even a month away from the end of the season. I think we only have about 6 games or 4 games left before the season ends. We're at game 78 has already been played, thereabout, or 76 for some teams. We're in that spot. So it's coming down to the end. March Madness is starting up. Our next Selection Sunday just passed. I suppose we can sneak in an episode pretty soon with PJ to talk about our March Madness picks. But other than that, Gerald, anything you wanted to cover?
Just a couple things. We're now about maybe 3 or 4 weeks detached from the conclusion of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. It was I like the Olympics just in general. It was pretty fun to watch. I think there was some pretty good competition from the Americans this year, a little better than what they've done in some of the other previous editions. I believe there were a lot of great stories. Nathan Chen being the winner for the gold medal in men's figure skating. Chloe Kim winning the half pipe gold again. Shaun White making his last stand, not winning his last stand, but going out in, I think, a pretty poetic way. I think he ended up in 4th or 5th place in the final standings. And other than that, pretty straightforward. There was a cloud of, I would call it controversy. But yeah, there was just some air of, I guess what we kind of knew was, or had an anticipation of what was going on in the world around these Olympics. For those 2 weeks, it was pretty okay. Honestly, it was pretty okay to just sit back and enjoy the sports. But then afterwards, unfortunately, we now have the situation going on in Eastern Europe with Ukraine and Russia invading, which is obviously not ideal for anybody, but yeah, that was definitely somewhat overhanging the situation. But overall, a good Winter Olympics showing by the Americans. Next Olympics are in 2024. Next Summer Olympics 2024 in Paris. And I do want to do an open invite, and I'm going to mention it again to PJ once he's here. Next year, 2023, is supposed to be the resuming of the World Baseball Classic, and as far as I can tell, they're still held in Miami. So that looks like something we might have to cover in person and on location.
Might see some Yasiel Puig action.
Yasiel Puig, some Yoenis Cespedes might still get called up by his crew. You remember Cespedes?
I love some Cespedes.
Definitely some great games in the Miami region. If you don't believe me, go back there on YouTube. Some of the international broadcasts from MLB TV when they were showing it. The USA versus the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic versus Venezuela. Venezuela versus Puerto Rico. All these games, top tier talent of the world in baseball, playing against each other in an absolutely electric and fantastic atmosphere. Something I definitely want to be a part of. I'm sure, Corey, you would love to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we got to go to this.
Miami plus baseball, PJ, and we're all going to have a hoot.
Miami plus baseball plus Team USA versus the rest of the world in baseball. Who do you want to see on a Team USA baseball, real quick? Just a couple of quick hits.
Well, when you think about it, it would have to be guys who went out of the league pretty quickly. So in 2023, you might be looking at a bunch of former Yanks.
No, because it's before the league takes the spring training.
Well, you don't see MLB guys, do you?
You do. You do see MLB. They get called up. Right. You do see MLB because it takes place from February to March.
Well, in any case, guys like Mike Trout will never go. But if there were a dream lineup,
but they had last edition when the U.S. won, by the way.
They had is the easiest thing in the world. You get Bryce Harper, you get Mookie Betts, and you get Mike Trout, and those guys will play wherever.
They had Christian Yelich, I think, last year.
Dude, get Cedric Mullins up there. That's a guy I want to be playing.
Oh, you know who should be you know who should be a team captain who
Trey
should play there
Mancini.
still? Trey Mancini and
Adam Jones.
Adam Jones.
Yep.
Adam Jones.
I would love to see it.
I would love to see it. I'm already excited for it now. Can't wait for it next year. We gotta go.
Very
we definitely gotta go.
Little thing, which is let me just double check the names here. So with alongside Jaime Jarrín, who is the Hispanic Spanish language voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Adrian Gonzalez will be joining the call for them this upcoming season. So that will be a lot of fun. But yeah, WBC sounds like a trip, dude. So as we always do with every episode, we're going to end this off with the best jersey number as accords with the episode number. This is episode 30. So Gerald, do you have a pick that you want to go ahead and do?
Well, you can do the MLB and the NBA. I got the NFL and soccer in general.
All right.
So go ahead.
With the NBA, it's probably the easiest thing. He's the best shooter of all time, best player in the history of the Golden State Warriors. He's the number one 3-point shooter of all time with the most buckets scored from beyond the arc. That is Wardell Stephen Curry. Where's number 30? Even has lyrics in Drake songs all the time. It's Steph Curry. There's no argument. Number 30, Steph.
Nice. Good pick. And for the NFL, this man, in just 78 regular season games, rushed for 7,607 yards and 60 touchdowns. 56 of those coming in his first 4 seasons, which is the most in NFL history. And in the postseason rushed for 1,100 yards and a dozen scores. 8 of those coming in the postseason following the 1997 campaign, including 3 in Super Bowl 32, where he was named MVP, Terrell Davis.
So for mine, I'm going to give a couple hints, Gerald. And I'd like you to try to figure this one out without cheating. No looking.
All right.
All-time record for strikeouts by nearly 1,000. Second place is Randy Johnson. All-time record for no-hitters with 7. Retired with 324 wins. He's in the Hall of Fame, 8 All-Stars, won a World Series, and has 2 ERA titles.
I got him.
Played for the Mets, played for the California Angels, played for Houston, and finished it off in Texas, delivering one of the best beatings of all time against Robin Ventura. Who am I?
You are one of the baddest men on the planet, Nolan Ryan.
That's right. Lynn Nolan Ryan at like 45 years old hit or almost hit Robin Ventura with a fastball at his head. Ventura charged the mound. Lynn Nolan Ryan grabbed him in a headlock and just started beating the crap out of him. Nolan Ryan is that dude. There's not another one that comes close to me. And it is biased because Nolan Ryan might come up again because he also wore number 34.
That is true.
That's my baseball. That's my baseball one. I mean, I can't even consider anybody else who'd be up there.
All right.
Arguably the best pitcher of all time.
All right. I got this one. This player, arguably one of the best soccer players of all time.
Pele.
No.
Ronaldo. No, that's not. He's 17. Or 7.
Has this number. He is not known necessarily in his history for wearing this number much, but he did wear this, and he is just automatically that good. In his recent move.
Question. Did this guy wear 30 for his national team?
No.
Okay.
In his recent move from one European league to another, has hit the woodwork more than anyone else this year in the league. And he is from a South American country.
Is it Messi?
It's messy.
It's messy.
I listen. I really don't.
30.
Right, he's wearing 30 right now for PSG.
Oh, yeah. Doy.
And like I said, I'm sure there's other people who were
in like 10.
It's been 10, and then when he started in Barcelona when Ronaldinho was still there, he was 21.
Ronaldinho, jeez, golly, that was a long time ago.
I know, right? But anyway, that's my pick. Those were my picks for the two. Corey, any last thoughts before we sign off?
No thoughts necessarily. Only thoughts are keep in tune. MLB baseball is now a go. Their opening day should be, I think, the second week of April.
7th. April 7th is opening day.
Yeah, they said the 7th week of April. I was like, what? No, April 7th will be opening day for most teams.
Right.
It will be impossible to get tickets to because this is the most demanded MLB baseball game in the history of MLB baseball games that aren't in October. So enjoy it on TV. Hopefully blackout restrictions, that'll come pretty soon where they do away with those. But
that should have been something that should have been resolved in a lockout, I'll tell you that much.
I think that's in the TV deal that they have to do.
Yeah,
but in any case, enjoy that. Enjoy the NFL offseason. Enjoy the NBA right now and gear up for March Madness because we got something coming for you guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, as always, I've been Corey.
And I've been Gerald.
And we will catch you next time.
We'll see you around, everybody.